Smokepit Fairytales by Chanceworth. Chapter 22. Waltzing Matilda. A few months went by relatively quiet. It was the 10th of November and the Marine Corps base Camp Pendleton's headquarters battalion was holding the Marine Corps' ball. Penelope and I were drinking at the casino, waiting for the ballroom doors to open. People meandered about, drowning their sorrows for the fortunes they'd lost. The Marines, already in their blues, began making fools of themselves before the party even started. I liked the place because I could smoke inside, a rarity in California. Penelope wore a shoulderless black gown. The dress had a thick red stripe filled with small black sewn roses on her right, from her chest to the bottom seam of the skirt near her feet. She had her hair smoothed down and tucked behind her left ear. Loose curls covered the right side of her face. She had a thick rhinestone bracelet on the hand holding her martini, and her rose necklace was round her neck.
So this ball is for the Marine Corps' birthday?
Penelope asked me. Yep, almost 2.5 centuries of helping America's enemies die for their country.
Well, it seems like a good time.
Yeah, I don't know how it's gonna go.
How so?
Because the other balls I've been to were all with Victor units, and they had their own traditions and had done things to actually be proud of, and since this is a base unit that hasn't and won't ever actually do anything worth calling themselves Marines, they're probably going to talk about the Marine Corps in general instead of, the actual unit history.
I'm not sure if I'm following.
Very few of the people here have actually been overseas, but they're going to pretend like they're all a bunch of badasses.
Ah.
Raynor appeared out of the crowd with a beer.
Hey, man.
We shook hands. What's up, dude? Raynor, this is Penelope. Penelope, this is Jared, right?
Yeah, Jared.
Raynor and Penelope shook hands, and Raynor introduced his wife, Kelly.
You ready for the shit show?
Raynor asked. Yeah, I was actually just telling her about that. Penelope gave me a look as if to ask for an explanation. Raynor's the only person at work I don't feel a compelling urge to stab in the face.
Oh.
Penelope smiled at Raynor.
So you're not one of the, what do you call them, Hank? Fucking POGs? Pogs?
Pogs, yeah.
Yeah, I think we're the only guys that have been to Iraqistan.
Yeah, some of the staff has, but, all they did was sit around with their thumbs at their cunts, so it doesn't count.
How doesn't it count?
Kelly asked. Raynor leaned into her and said,
Because it didn't leave base, they just sat around all day on the internet eating cake.
By the time they opened the doors of the ballroom, I had drank enough to get a good buzz going. We found ourselves in the seating chart and hunted down our table. There was a formal dinner setting over a red tablecloth. Penelope picked up the nameplate on her glass.
Sergeant Allensworth guest. I feel fancy.
Give it an hour.
Raynor sat down next to me.
What happens in an hour?
Kelly asked. I'm gonna get shithoused and ruin the party. A few minutes later, Corporal Gent and his girlfriend, whose name I don't remember, and the recently promoted Corporal Glaedwine and her husband Jerry filled in the seats at the table. When Glaedwine sat down, Raynor elbowed me and smiled with an eyebrow raised.
You gonna liquor her up and take her home?
Yeah, ha ha, I said sarcastically. Turning back to Penelope, I introduced her to the rest of the table. Glaedwine shook Penelope's hand.
It's nice to meet you. Your boyfriend said a lot about you.
Penelope smiled.
Really? Hopefully nothing good.
Sometimes it's a little too much information, but it's fun.
What was your name again? Glaedwine?
You can call me Lovis.
That's an interesting name. I don't think I've heard that one before.
It's Danish.
Are you from there then?
Just a family.
Ah.
Yes, ma'am. I've been reading a lot about the Bearsons. Jerry actually got a job working to integrate our technologies together.
Oh, really? Well, he's going to have a good time with that. I don't believe that we brought a lot with us, though, besides people.
Maybe not physically, but your technology's light years ahead of ours.
Maybe space travelers, but we didn't have jazz or coffee.
well, how the hell did you survive without that?
Penelope shrugged and took a sip of her drink.
Ladies and gentlemen,
the announcer spoke over the speaker system.
If you would please take your seat, the ceremony will commence shortly.
The ballroom silenced.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the invocation by the chaplain.
Everyone in the ballroom stood to their feet.
Let us pray.
We bowed our heads. Penelope looked around confused. I tapped her wrist and motioned my head down. The chaplain asked God for a good night and to bless our bountiful harvest. He said nothing motivating or worthy of being asked by barbaric, child-eating, blood-spilling Marines. There was no prayer or lament for the fallen, or request for bestowing victory in battle over our enemies. The chaplain's words, or his omission of certain ones, angered me. I had my own silent conversation with God, asking for people not to pretend to be badasses and write off the valor of the Marines who actually did something with their career, so I wouldn't have to start breaking in faces because they chose bitch jobs instead of ones that would have gotten them into combat in any of the last 3 fucking wars that happened in the last decade.
Amen. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated.
The lights dimmed almost to black and a screen dropped from the ceiling. An image of a giant spinning Eagle Globe and anchor appeared, and then the Commandant and the Sergeant Major of the Marine Corps both spoke. They wished us happy birthday and reminded us of our illustrious lineage. They talked about what happened in Iraq and Iran and how proud they were to be part of the organization that exhibited so much valor and made our enemy bleed. I zoned out while the Commandant talked. Every word was gibberish to me. He was selected from the Air Wing. He had never seen any form of combat, and they put him in charge of a bunch of bloodthirsty killers. I don't think there was one Marine in the Corps that honestly respected him. The Sergeant Major wasn't much better. He was a sniper, but as soon as he got in his current position, he either covered up his old sniper tattoos or removed them and proceeded to shit on the Marine Corps sniper community. I remember wondering why James Mattis and Bradley Castle couldn't ever lead the Marine Corps. I figured Congress was too afraid that Mattis would march the 1st Marine Division down to Pennsylvania Avenue and execute everyone in the government for destroying the Constitution. The Commandant finally shut his trap and the lights came back on. The battalion commander came to the podium and called us to attention. A piece of cake was given to the oldest and the youngest Marines in the battalion. The oldest Marine was a decrepit-looking Master Sergeant, and the youngest Marine was actually a set of twin brothers. The ceremony ended and the waiter started bringing us our meals. I looked over at Penelope and said, "Hey, I'm gonna get another drink. You want anything?"
Another martini, please.
I patted her on the shoulder and walked to the back of the ballroom to the bar. I tried to dig my wallet out of my front pocket. Trust Blues were a pain in the dick to get anything out of the pockets. Everything is thick, custom-tailored, skin-tight wool. While I waited for the barkeep to make my drinks, I tried to ignore the jabbering of a female Lance Corporal at the bar next to me. She had her blues and no medals that meant anything. I remember before I joined the Marines, I thought every medal was for doing something heroic, but nowadays everyone's got one for fucking joining while the war was happening, regardless of whether or not they actually went to said conflict, and another one for just being in the Department of Defense during the global war on terrorism. This Lance Corporal had those too, and that was it.
So yeah, the Marine Corps is pretty awesome.
The Lance blabbered to another Marine at the bar. Yeah, because you would fucking know anything about being an actual Marine.
Day after Don't Ask, Don't Tell got repealed, wife and me flew to Maryland and got hitched.
I looked over to reconfirm that her face was as troll-like as I thought it was. Where the fuck did a Lance Corporal get the money to just hop a flight to Maryland?
And don't even get me going on the house. It's totes awesome. We're only renting the top floor, but it looks right over the beach.
I legitimately have more stars in my Purple Heart than you have ribbons, and they're giving you enough fucking money to live on the beach as a Lance Corporal, and I have to live in the fucking barracks? I tapped my fingers on the bar and stared down the bartender.
So anyway, me and my wife were at the beach the other day.
I imagined the disgusting thing standing beside me in a bikini and shuddered in horror. I at least hope the wife saw it, because if there's two things of that caliber walking half naked down the beach, someone's dick's never gonna be able to work again. And then again, I've seen some pretty hot chicks sucking face with monsters, but this chick looks like the fat kid from The Sandlot. Fucking pasty bitch. The bartender finally gave me my drinks. I tossed him a 20 and started off. Before I could take a step, I heard the ugly Cabbage Patch looking troll say,
"And I'm all like, hate and discontent, yo."
I glanced at her over my shoulder. Apparently, my look was disturbing enough to get her attention. She gave me an indignant look.
Yeah? What do you have to be hateful or discontent about?
I said without turning my whole body towards her. She cracked a smart-ass smile and opened her hands.
"'Cause certain I am. Lance Cooley, everyone's trying to kick around. I ain't getting no respect from none of my higher-ups. I live off the hate. And you know what it's like. You're a Marine just like me."
I turned to face her. Her eyes got big when she saw my medals.
Listen, you truffle, shuffle-looking fuck. I am not a Marine like you. You are not a Marine like me. It fucking sickens me that I'm competing for a space in the same organization with you pug-faced, good-for-nothing, shriveled dick dwarfs like you.
"Certain, I'm a Marine too."
It's pronounced sergeant, not sarnt. And you're not a Marine, you're a fucking flight attendant. Look at your fucking uniform.
The female dress uniform did look like something a flight attendant would wear.
Go do something with your career before you go blabbering about it. And I'm just guessing on this one, but no one probably respects you because you're fat and you can't fucking speak English. Sergeant! And I don't care about your comebacks or excuses, boot.
Both the troll and the Marine next to her had terror in their eyes. I turned around and walked back to my table and fell into my seat with a grimace.
You all right, Sergeant?
Glaedwine asked me.
Yep.
I said in a hostile voice and downed half my rum. Our food was already at the table. I looked at the chicken and vegetables and wondered to myself why the chow hall couldn't make food that good. Then I guessed it was my fault for having to eat at the chow hall since I was responsible and didn't marry a stranger when I was fucking 19. And trying to eat in Trust Blues is a pain in the ass. The collar was so high that whoever was wearing it couldn't bend their necks, so you had to either risk dropping all the food down your chest or bend your whole body to eat.
This is nice.
Penelope looked around the room.
I was expecting wine at the table, or perhaps not having to pay for it, seeing as how this is supposed to be a ball and all.
Yeah, it's not really like it is in the movies, babe. But we can still get pretty liquored up. You know, these aren't classy like they're made out to be.
Penelope smiled.
I still get to play dress up.
Glaedwine butted in, pointing to her uniform.
Some of you do. We still have to wear this.
You don't seem to really want to be here.
Penelope pointed out.
Our presence is mandatory, and it costs us about $300 every time we do this.
Penelope sneered.
Gross.
And I'd rather be Waltzing, Matilda.
I'm sorry, what's that mean?
Never mind.
I patted Penelope on the thigh and finished my drink.
So Ginny tells me that they're postponing the wedding in the wake of all these Kelsey happenings.
Penelope said after a few moments.
Yeah.
I wished I had more rum.
I think they're pushing it until spring.
The whole ordeal is really quite sad. That was Ginny's best friend.
Wait, you knew that girl?
Jerry broke the silence.
Well, yeah, I met her a few times.
Fuck her on non-payday weekends back when you were at the old barracks?
Raynor joked.
No, she was actually one of my buddy's wife's friends. She probably fucked all but 12 dudes in the barracks.
I tried the joke.
Well, how well did you know her?
Glaedwine asked.
I met her a few times. She may have come out drinking with us once or twice.
I pretended not to know my glass was empty and grabbed it to take a drink.
I'm gonna go, grab another drink. Anybody want anything?
I bounced to the bar before anyone could roger up. I told the barkeep to make my rum and coke a double.
Sergeant Allensworth.
A cold, evil voice behind me hissed. I turned around to confirm my fears.
Gunnery Sergeant Chanceworth.
Damn it.
Happy birthday.
Yeah.
She didn't have an ounce of amusement in her face. But she did look like she had plenty to drink.
What's this I heard you said to a Lance Corporal earlier?
The bartender put my drink down. I reached for it slowly.
If memory serves correct, I called her a fat truffle shuffle looking motherfucker.
Do you think that's professional, Marine?
I sighed and gestured a shrug with my hands.
What's your original MOS?
I had had just enough to drink to stop giving a shit about this bitch.
1369.
Gunny pulled her head back in confusion.
I thought you were a photographer. What's a 1369?
Unlucky cocksucker.
Hate grew in her eyes and her mouth pulled back over her teeth.
You are one of the most unprofessional Marines I've ever met. How the hell did you make it to Sergeant? You're from Division, right?
Yes, I am.
You damn troglodyte Division Marines. You think you're so much better than everyone else just because you deploy and go out in the grunts. And you walk around like you're God's gift to the Marine Corps.
You think he's not gunny?
Glaedwine interrupted her from the bar.
Stay out of it, Corporal.
Chanceworth barked at Glaedwine. She stuck her finger in my chest and growled.
You're flying too close to the sun, devil dog.
Well, then it's probably a good thing I used lambskin condoms instead of wax for my wings.
Gunny Chanceworth saw red.
That's it. Monday morning, you and I are going to the first sergeant's office. I'm taking your damn stripes, and then we'll see who the badass is.
That's not happening, Gunnery Sergeant.
Yeah? And why the hell not?
Because if you don't drop this right the fuck now, I'm walking right the fuck over to the CO to tell him about how you grabbed my dick.
She paused and shook her head, thinking.
What? No, I didn't! He's not going to believe that, and the CO is going to take my word over yours.
It's not my word. My girlfriend saw it too. So did Glaedwine.
Glaedwine shrugged at Gunny Chanceworth.
Yeah, my husband saw it too.
This is mutiny.
Gunnery Sergeant, how much have you had to drink tonight?
She glared at me.
Maybe you should go back to your table and sit down.
Chanceworth squinted at me, saying,
I'll get you.
before turning away.
Happy birthday, Gunnery Sergeant.
I looked over at Glaedwine and stuck my fist out at her.
Thanks for the backup, dude.
Glaedwine punched my fist.
No problem, Sergeant. She's a fucking bitch.
What you drinking?
Irish whiskey.
Is that your go-to?
Usually.
Glaedwine raised her glass and tapped it with mine.
Happy birthday.
You too.
We downed our drinks and ordered another round.
Sergeant, do you know from where toasting came?
I do not believe I do.
In the Middle Ages, people would all pour each other's wine into each other's goblets, mixing everyone's drink together. That way, if someone would try to kill someone with poison, they had to drink it too.
Interesting.
Yeah, around the same time is where the handshake originated.
Yeah? How'd that come about?
Her firm handshake was to make sure you didn't have a dagger hidden in your sleeve.
Well, what if I had it strapped below, like I was a ninja assassin?
Couldn't tell you.
The bartender brought us our next round. Glaedwine took a sip of her whiskey. Her eyes were already starting to turn red around the edges. She had that crooked, tipsy smile.
So I take it you're not really too fond of this new peacetime Marine Corps.
I don't think there's really such thing as a peacetime Marine Corps.
No?
No, there's just nothing that Uncle Sam really wants right now. I mean, as far as America goes, like, war is a racket and we're the gangsters for capitalism. We're just waiting for the next ass to kick. If the Marine Corps is at peace, we wouldn't be training and people wouldn't be deployed keeping the peace anywhere.
I've heard that somewhere before.
Yeah, Smedley Butler wrote a book about it.
That's right.
I mean, you join an apple pie in America, but, you kind of end up fighting for whatever monetary gains the government's going to make. Ultimately, you're fighting to keep the guys to your left and right alive, but it's kind of shitty to think about your buddies getting killed so someone's stock can go up.
So then why did you do it?
Glaedwine, do you watch football at all, or play it around in the backyard?
Yep.
Well, do you do it because you hate the Steelers, or because you like the way the ball feels in your hand?
I see your point.
She finished her drink and ordered another.
Then I re-enlisted because I got to do a lot my first enlistment, and I thought I could get another go at it, and instead they sent me to this fucking base unit.
Yeah. And you can tell you don't really belong here.
Oh, yeah?
You're out of place. Everyone else except a few Marines are walking around with 2, maybe 5 medals and ribbons, and your rack goes up to your damn shoulder.
Meh.
I shrugged and finished my rum. I put it on the bar and tapped for the bartender's attention.
And all the other Marines at the shop admire you because of the things you've gotten to do. You did all the things that we joined to do. You got to run around with a camera and a rifle, and legitimately got paid to kill people and take photos of it. I think it's fucking badass.
Well? Oh, well, thanks.
That, and I've had some truly life-changing conversations with you on the smoke deck. Thank you for that.
Glaedwine.
I leaned into her.
Yes?
She leaned back into me, looking me straight in the eye.
We should what, Hank?
We should what?
Glaedwine smiled. Find a quiet place to be alone? Go back to the table? Go up to my room? Get another drink? What are we asking here, Hank?
We should go out and smoke a cigarette.
I'd like that.
We walked outside the ballroom where smoking wasn't authorized, back to the casino. I lit my Lucky. Glaedwine put a cigarette in her mouth and fumbled for her lighter. I put the flame of mine to the tip of her smoke.
I went to Iraq when I was a kid with my parents for their work.
Glaedwine inhaled.
Yeah? How'd you like it?
I enjoyed it. Not as much as Jordan or Egypt, but it was better than I thought it would be.
Well, you seem like you're pretty open-minded about immersing yourself into culture.
Yeah, I've always wanted to go someplace like Nepal or India or Tibet. Somewhere with the giant Buddhist and Hindu temples. The pictures and stories about those places make them seem like they'd be amazing.
Yeah, apparently there used to be Buddhas all around Afghanistan before the Taliban rolled in and tore them all down for their like fucking jihad. That's when we should have started fucking killing those fucks.
I haven't been there. What's Afghanistan like?
It's actually very beautiful, and the people there are really nice when they're not trying to kill you.
You know, you have an interesting perspective on things. I'd love to read a book you wrote on your experiences over there.
Well, I am the sensitive, creative type.
Who kills people for a living.
Yeah, but I don't know about writing a book.
Why not?
I don't know, man. It just seems like everyone and their brother that went over there is writing a fucking book about it, and I don't want to get clumped in with these tools. It's like, I get it. you're cool. That, and I haven't really done anything impressive. I don't want to bore people to death with stories about burning shit in a 55-gallon barrel and trading MREs to locals for knickknacks.
I'd still read it.
Why? You trying to swim around in my head?
Maybe.
Glaedwine took a step closer to me and lit another cigarette with her cherry from the previous one. I followed suit.
So, you know those Buddhist temples?
Yeah?
Have you ever seen the pictures of the ones somewhere in India that's just covered with statues of people getting it on?
Yeah, what about it?
Do you think the statues were divided up by genre? Like there's a threesome statue room and a gangbang one, or a room in the back that had like a fountain that's just a bunch of dudes like, you know, doing a bukkake on a chick statue's face?
Probably not, but I'm pretty sure there's some horse and ox sex.
I shook my head.
What's the deal with chicks and horses anyway?
Most girls had their first orgasm horseback riding. So there's that connection.
Ah, that's kind of why I love socks so much.
Gross!
Glaedwine slapped my arm.
What? You started it.
I did not.
Did too.
I leaned my face in towards Glaedwine's. She smiled back at me. The look in her eyes told me she was okay with whatever was about to happen. I leaned in to kiss her, thinking, this is it. I'm gonna put my lips on those rose petals of your face. I could smell her through the smoke. I felt the heat of her body. We're gonna jump in the Jeep, we're gonna hit the gas, and we're never gonna look back, and we're gonna run away together and wait. This is a cocktail of bad decisions. You're not gonna be okay with this when you sober up. Shit, you're married too. If we do this, Lovis, it's gonna fuck up shit. I stopped my lips less than an inch away from hers. The heat from her body was driving me mad. Oh shit, I've got Penelope to think about. Oh fuck, I have Penelope to think about. I have a woman I care enough about not to screw her around on in the other room, and a woman I can't run away with here in my face. Fuck, this is bad. Why the fuck is this happening? Damn it, this is royally fucking up my shit.
Glaedwine, do you ever think God's fucking with you?
My mouth was an inch away from hers.
All the time.
Like, when there's a steak and lobster on your plate, you know you're starving, but you know one of the two is poison and it'll kill you.
Yeah.
She bit her bottom lip. I ran my hand through my hair.
I don't believe in reincarnation.
I don't either.
She didn't understand what I meant.
If we're wrong about that,
Yeah?
find me in the next life.
Glaedwine half smiled. She put her palm on my face.
Okay, yeah, you're right. We should probably get back in there.
We ordered 8 shots and a few beers to the table so we didn't raise suspicion. I don't know if we were actually guilty of anything, but we felt like it. We put the drinks on the table. At some point, Penelope took Rayner's chair to chat with his wife, and Rayner had moved to talk to Jerry. Glaedwine and I plopped into the 2 open chairs at the table.
Hey, here's a round of the Marine Corps.
I raised a shot glass. Everyone else grabbed a glass and held it to the ceiling.
May the bottom of your glass never see the moon.
We all drowned the liquor. When the glasses had landed back on the table, Penelope turned to me.
So, Hank, what's the point of this whole thing again?
The ball?
Yes. I mean, I'm having fun, but this is a yearly thing?
Yeah, it's pretty much an excuse to get drunk and revel in how badass the Marine Corps is, even though most of these fuckers don't really appreciate it.
What do you mean they don't appreciate it?
A cold voice spoke from behind me, like a fog creeps over a cemetery when death wraps his fingers over a tombstone in the snow. I turned around to see Gunny Chanceworth. God damn it, bitch, leave me the fuck alone.
Well, Gunnery Sergeant, most of the Marines here just see this as a party, and they're not here to honor the fallen or remember the battles the Marines have fought. They're not here because they feel like they're part of the Marine Corps and honestly feel like they've earned a part in its history. They're here because they want to play dress up and get drunk.
What the hell are you talking about, Leatherneck?
The inebriated Gunnery Sergeant asked, wobbling like a drunken top.
Gunnery Sergeant!
I turned around in my chair.
My first deployment was the 2nd Battalion, 7th Marines in 2008 in Helmand, Afghanistan. Our battalion held down what was later held down by almost an entire fucking division, and we didn't have so much as air support. All these fucking stories people have about flying over Afghanistan, I did in a fucking Humvee with a cat platoon. When we were sent there, we were supposed to be there for 5 months and train the police and then leave because, everyone thought fucking Afghanistan was over. Then we showed up and put a little more than a platoon in places like, Nowzad, Sangin, Babaluke. Instead of training the police, we were immediately bogged down in killing fucking Taliban. Out of 800 sailors and Marines, over 20 of us sent to guard the gates of heaven, and almost 300 of us were fucking wounded so bad they were sent home, most of them missing fucking limbs. Granted, we killed the shit out of Haji. When we showed up, there were no IEDs because the Muj thought he could fight us toe-to-toe because they've been used to fighting the fucking Afghan National Police, and they've been getting away with just using AKs and RPGs, and they were damn good with them. People think the Taliban were a bunch of poorly trained dirt farmers, but they will royally fuck your shit up. In the end, we sent a hell of a lot more of them to meet fucking Allah than they did to us. Most of our guys that got killed died because they bled out waiting for fucking helicopters that would never come. We were left the fuck behind, alone and unafraid in a war that we didn't think was still fucking happening. Our 5-month fucking training mission turned into a 9-month fight for life, and we never lost our goddamn nerve. We waited for the Pentagon to get their shit together and train up someone to relieve us. Then, when they finally did, it was an entire fucking special purpose goddamn MAGTF. Then, the guys who got out of the Corps, about a platoon's worth of them, fucking killed themselves. Even after another fucking pump there the next year, then an entire other war in Iraq, then Iran, there's not another fucking day that goes by that I don't think about the Warriors at 2-7 and the fucking things we did. Now I want you to look me in the eye, Gunnery Sergeant, and tell me that you honestly think that these base unit Marines have the same size fucking chunk of their hearts sworn to the goddamn Marine Corps. Tell me that their souls swell and scream for the love of the United States Marines the same way someone who lived as a Marine and had a full career's worth of fucking experiences before they even fucking picked up Corporal. Even if that Lance Corporal was fed up, disgusted, pissed off, and fucking leaves, if he was over there being what it meant to be a fucking Marine, he will always remember and revere the time he spent eating dirt with the finest fucking fighting force that the world has ever fucking seen.
Gunnery Sergeant Chanceworth glared at me.
You don't have to be a dick about it.
Gunny, on my last deployment, me and my corpsman were hit with a fucking artillery round and were pronounced dead on the bird, and we were somehow resuscitated and spent almost 2 years in a fucking coma. If I want to be a dick about it, I'm gonna be a fucking dick about it.
She stared with her drunken, glazed red eyes.
Gunny, do you need another drink? Where's your husband at?
He's somewhere.
She staggered off back into the crowd. Penelope looked shaken.
That's the most I've ever heard you say about any of that.
Yeah, well, I'm drunk and want that bitch to leave me alone.
So, were you scared?
Huh?
In Afghanistan?
Oh yeah, I was fucking scared. Before we went over there, we heard stories about the Taliban grabbing dudes off patrols and they'd get lost in fields and cutting their fucking heads off. Then it turned out Haji could fight. And I don't care what anybody says, at the very least, your first firefight is fucking terrifying. And I don't mean terrifying like, I think I'm gonna crash my car. I mean terrifying like your brain can't process anything besides the words shit and fuck. Then that's why training everything until everything's muscle memory is so fucking important. Now eventually, instead of the sheer terror, you start getting pissed off at whatever is you're in fucking contact with, but you're never really not scared anymore.
I see.
Penelope grabbed her drink and tried to change the conversation, obviously uncomfortable.
So if this is a ball, shouldn't we have champagne and dancing?
I pointed to the dance floor behind me.
That's all you're getting for dancing, but I can get you some champagne.
She turned to look back at the people dancing, if you could call it that. The DJ was blaring that year's pop and hip-hop. The Marines on the floor with their girlfriends and wives were twerking and grinding under a disco ball.
Hank, when you said ball, I thought you meant something a little more classy. Maybe tango or even merengue, but there's nothing elegant about all this.
Yeah, well, I'd rather be waltzing Matilda too, but this is where society has fucking left us.
That's the second time you've said that, and I still don't know what that means.
It means he'd rather be humping a pack through the desert.
Raynor translated for me. I shrugged and sipped my drink.
Faye has a word for this.
Penelope thought out loud.
Yeah, what's that?
I asked, but the feelings I had towards Faye prevented me from actually being interested in anything that she could have possibly said.
Give me a moment to think.
Penelope put her hand over her mouth. I looked at her with my eyebrows raised, then Raynor and Glaedwine. They both shrugged at me. I looked back at Penelope, who said,
All niggered up.
Whoa!
I think is how she would describe it.
Yeah, you cannot say that.
Why not? That's what it is, right?
No, nigger. You can't say nigger.
Why's that?
Because it's racist.
Really?
Penelope had a confused look on her face.
For a word you can't say, it really is used a lot.
Nah, you're only allowed to say it if you're black.
Well, that hardly sounds fair.
Yeah, that's what Whitey used to call black people when they were slaves.
White people used to be black people's slaves.
No. Black people used to be white people's slaves.
Well, to be fair, everyone used to be white people slaves.
Glaedwine smirked.
Yeah, fucking white-ass motherfuckers.
Shut up, Rainer. You're white.
No, I'm not. I'm New Yorkan, Mexican, Wendian. One big cocktail, everybody fucking.
Penelope shook her head.
I have no idea what that is.
New York, Puerto Rican, Mexican, white, and Indian.
All right then.
Penelope took a sip of her drink.
But seriously, slaves? No wonder aliens never contacted you before we had to.
I squinted at her indignantly.
But seriously though, how is this a ball if there's no dancing?
I don't know, man. It doesn't make sense to me either.
So you're not gonna go up there and pretend you're Miley Cyrus?
No. I'm not gonna disrespect my uniform like that. And wait, how the hell do you know who Miley Cyrus is, but don't know we had slaves?
It's not my fault what they put on the idiot box.
I rubbed my forehead.
Okay, babe. I'm gonna go smoke a cigarette. Rainer, you wanna go?
Yeah, sure.
We stepped outside the ballroom doors and lit up by the ashtray towers.
Glaedwine was eyeballing the fuck out of you when you were telling off Chanceworth.
Yeah?
Yeah, then she watched us walk out here.
No, well, that's great. God damn it.
You should bang her, dude.
I can't do that, man.
Why the hell not? You ain't married.
I know.
I took a deep drag for my lucky.
But I respect Glaedwine too much, and I feel bad for just thinking about her the way I do. Plus, I got the green one. It's all mixed up, man.
Just keep it on the down low, man. You'll be alright.
Nah, man, she seems happy with her husband, and it's probably only really into me right now because she's drunk. I mean, she'll probably be all fucked up in the head if she, when we sober up, and I don't want to do that to her. Like, it'd be different if she wasn't happy with her husband, and I didn't care about Penelope.
Too much of a one-woman man?
Not usually.
I put out my cigarette.
I mean, Penelope's probably only the second chick I haven't ran around on.
Well, alright.
We got a few more drinks and sat back down. The table's attention was on Jerry. He was explaining the intricacies of the project at his job.
But we're not the only ones doing it. There's a multinational conglomeration working on the project. China, Russia, Germany, Japan, Britain. There are a lot of people with their fingers in this. I think it'll do well. Hell, if we're lucky enough, we'll unfold some advanced technology that could stop war.
Well, we've kind of already stopped wars on some levels.
Rayner's wife, Kelly, nudged in.
How do you mean?
Jerry asked.
If you think about it, the technology you're talking about could be related to nuclear weapons and democracy. Nuclear powers don't go to war against each other, nor do democracies. Sure, there's saber rattling, but all the bomb did was make sure that the first world countries don't engage each other in direct contact. And any new technology wouldn't do much more for peace than the nukes did. Think about it. If there was no such thing as a nuclear weapon, or something equally destructive, America and the Soviet Union probably would have gone to war directly with each other in either Vietnam or Afghanistan. There would have been more Soviet involvement in Korea, and Cuba would have become a state or a territory in the 60s. But no one wanted to risk nuclear annihilation. Therefore, none of those conflicts were deemed worth it by the other side to fight it all out.
I see your point.
Jerry nodded. I turned to Rayner.
Dude, what the fuck is your wife's job?
Rayner shrugged.
Fuck if I know, man.
Jerry continued.
But maybe with the fluorescent terraforming technology, we can get humanity into space and start fresh. If we do that, then we should only have a few nations up there, and if every country is a nuclear power, then no one will want to fight with anyone at all.
Yeah, aren't India and Pakistan both nuclear powers?
I butted in.
Yes, but although they've had skirmishes, they've never really been to war against each other.
Okay.
I sipped my drink. I'm too drunk for this level of brain suck. We sat around the table for another hour. The conversation bounced back and forth between serious philosophical debate and complete nonsense. I kept sneaking my eyes over to Glaedwine. When my eyes met hers, she'd quickly look away. I did the same to her. At the end of the night, I laid in a hotel bed upstairs with Penelope. The room was nice, but the world was spinning from the rum, and I just wanted to sleep. I had Penelope tucked inside my arm. Her body was spooned up to me.
Hey, Penelope.
Yes, Hank?
I want you to know that I love you.
I love you too, Hank.
No. I mean, like really. Like, I really, really love you. Like for real.
Do you mean to say you didn't before?
No. That's not what I meant. That's not what I meant. I just want you to know that you got a serious chunk of my heart.
Do you love me as much as you love the Marine Corps?
That's different.
How?
Because it was here first, and hopefully you'll be around long after the Marines are done with me.
I can deal with that.
Good.
What if there's another war?
What about it?
Will you go?
If they let me.
Not if they make you.
No. It's an if they let me. I didn't join the Marines to not go to war.
What if the war's really long and we have kids?
And wait until our son's had a beard, and if I'm not back by then and you haven't heard from me, then, move on. What do you mean kids?
If we get married, we have to have children.
Who said anything about marriage?
You said you loved me, didn't you? Why wouldn't you marry me?
Good job working me into a corner, Penelope. Have kids with your next husband.
Why would I have a next husband?
Because I'm gonna die sometime in the next 90 years, at best, and if you have kids with me, they're probably gonna die before you do too, and after I bite the dust, marry some virescent guy so you won't have to watch your kids get old and die before you do.
That's dark, Hank.
Am I wrong?
Well, say you do die a millennium before I do. Maybe I want a souvenir.
Yeah, well, then, but you're gonna have, like, a bunch of kids from a bunch of different dads, and people are gonna think you're a hooch. Penelope patted my arm.
Well, we can talk about it later, babe.
Hey, everybody. Thank you for listening to Smokepit Fairytales Chapter 22. I would like to thank Diane, Spencer, Chuck, LaVoki, Ainsworth, Hollishow, McCollum, Michele, Packard, and Matt Kupcikevicius for helping out with their voices on this chapter. I'd also like to thank everyone that's supporting the channel on Patreon and everyone that's gotten a war chest. That really does help out. All right, I will catch you next time. Simper.
Have a good one. He said nothing motivating or worthy of being asked by a barbaric, child-eating, Oh my god, this is great.
Choisin, the blah, the blah. See, this is why you have to practice.
There's a formal ditter.
Hank goes to get drinks, returns. Hank's good, isn't he?
Fucker on name. God fucking damn it. I will be getting payback against you for that. Just a heads up. Alright, let's go.
He was explaining the intricacies of the project at his lob. He's got a lob. It's a job at a lab. A lob.
Yeah, I think I'm homing in there.
It means he'd rather be humping fucking shit.
Ooh. Did you guys hear that?
Glaedwine? Glaedwine?
Hank, and Glaedwine, I'm never sure how to pronounce that name, return to the table with drinks. I'll know when the audiobook comes out.
Happy Gunnery Sergeant birthday. Oh, happy Gunnery Sergeant birthday. Yeah, no, fucking goddamn. I'm sorry.
Oh, bollocks.
I penatted Penelope. I penatted Penelope.
Fucking hell, Trip. Alright, give me a minute.
Put him in charge of a bunch of bloodthirsty.
Fuck. Sorry, my voice is going all over the place this morning.
If we do that, then we could only have a few nations. Ah, shit. I said cold both times, didn't I? Should. Coulda, woulda, shoulda. Didn't.
We bowed our head. She had a thick rhyme. She had a thick rhinestone braid, like a rhinestone cowboy.
Right, I'm going to do that scene again.
Really, Trip? Her rose necklace was around her neck? Wow. I don't know where the fuck else she'd be wearing it.
Really, Trip, you had to put that last line in there.